How to set up your Joyseat saddle. Before you go on your first ride with your Joyseat saddle, you need to set it up properly. A well-adjusted saddle setup determines your performance, comfort, and health, so do not underestimate this part. Finding the right riding position is a complex discipline that involves the length of the pedal cranks, the cleat position, the length of the stem, and so much more. This guide is only for correct saddle positioning. We recommend visiting your nearest bike fitter to get your riding position and saddle position perfectly adjusted. This guide was created in collaboration with an expert bike fitter in order to provide the best possible instructions. There are 3 parameters to adjust on the saddle: saddle height, fore-aft position, and saddle tilt. In our video guide, we show you how to do it. Before you get started, the first important point is to securely mount the saddle. The Joyseat saddle has 7x9mm oval rails, so make sure the clamp caps on your seat post are suitable for them. If the locking mechanism is through the sides, you may need to replace the clamp caps. If the lock mechanism loads the top and bottom of the rail, you can safely secure the saddle. For mountain bikes, keep in mind that it is a saddle with a carbon fiber composition. It's made for general off-road use, but even that has its limits. Treat it with the same consideration as you would any other carbon component. What are you going to need? To set up the saddle, you will need a level, tape measure, pencil, plumb line, multi-tool, cycling shorts, and cycling shoes. Saddle height. Saddle height is the distance between the bottom bracket and the center of the saddle. You will find the center of the saddle at the midpoint of the saddle length. Use the Lemond method to measure the initial saddle height and measure the inseam of your leg. Remove your shoes, stand up straight, and place a level between your legs. Press up until you feel a slight pressure in your crotch. Level off to a horizontal position and measure the height from the floor to the top of the level. Multiply the measured inseam length by the constant 0.883. This value is a ballpark for your saddle height. Now it's time to change into the clothes you normally ride your bike in. Yes, just like that. With your saddle height adjusted, sit on your bike. You can lean against a table or a chair to support yourself. Turn the pedals backwards a few times. If your pelvis moves from side to side as you pedal, your legs are fully stretched, and you're extending your toes to the pedal, your saddle is too high. Drop the saddle lower. If your legs are too bent when pedaling, your saddle is too low, and you increase the risk of overstretching your knee joints. Tighten the seat post clamp and make sure the saddle is securely fastened. There should be no play in the saddle. Fore-aft position. The forward position is the distance from the tip of the joyseat in relation to the pedal axis. You adjust this position by sliding the saddle rails in the rail clamp. Fix the saddle approximately in the middle of the scale on the rails. Always mount the saddle within the scale marked on the rails. Never mount the saddle outside the scale's marked indications on the rails. Sit on the bike in your most regular riding position and place your foot on the pedal as usual. Clip in if you have cleats. Bring the pedals to a horizontal position. Take a plumb line and lead down over the ball of your front foot. The plumb line should point roughly to the axis of the pedal. If the plumb line is behind the axis, bring the saddle forward. If the plumb line is in front of the axis, slide the saddle backwards. Saddle tilt. Saddle tilt is the last parameter when adjusting the saddle. Back in the day, the reference was 0 degrees. Nowadays, more and more bike fitters recommend slight saddle tilt downwards, approximately -1 degree or -2. First, set the saddle in a horizontal position and check it using a level. Then tilt the saddle down slightly. You can verify the correct inclination with your smartphone. Some already have a level function and display the angle. A saddle with the correct tilt will give you enough support for the tip of your sit bones so that your arms are relaxed and you don't feel any uncomfortable pressure in the sitting area. If you feel pressure on the saddle tip while riding, tilt the saddle down a little more, or you can drop the saddle height down. If you are still experiencing pain, you can try riding without any saddle tilt. Everybody has their own unique style. That being said, if you continue to experience discomfort, we strongly recommend seeking help from a professional bike fitter. Make sure your saddle is aligned with the top tube of your bike frame, i.e., it is not turned to the left or right. Conclusion: pay attention to how you sit on the bike, how you transfer power to the pedals, if you're overstretching your arms, or if your pelvis is shifting. On your first ride, bring your tools and preferably some friends who can take photos and videos of you riding your bike. You'll likely have to tweak this position. Joyseat. No pressure, just joy.